In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning was an infinite void without shape or form. To give reference to the void, we will use what we have as representation of that void being water. In the midst of this void, it is then written that God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. He then created the land to separate the waters. We call this land earth. And because we are the earth, all of its elements, we will represent ourselves as that earth. Greetings and good evening. We welcome you on another set of steps in our journey in the build. I will bring forth Brother Eli, and he will join us in his exquisite fashion, explaining our purpose with perfect poise.
Thank you, Brother Michael. Blessings. Blessings, everyone. I would like to say this. The words we are expressing freely are not meant to offend anyone. Our words are not meant to be in any competition with anyone else's wisdom. Your wisdom and understanding is yours alone. We are choosing to remain consecrated while being in the furnace of affliction, the burning bush. Now, of course, we're going to go to our book. Conquering ignorance is essential. Nobody is born wise. A person has to make serious efforts to develop the qualities needed to be able to speak and achieve mayat without falling into the twin traps of vanity and greed. Every day, the ears or the living have to be made to listen to the words of wisdom. If the teachings is properly understood, then righteousness will become a reality. Just acts, conforming to the precepts of Mayat, are born out of this understanding. A deed done without egotism is a useful, shining example to others, providing it obeys the golden rule to act for he who acts. The one who knows reality, the myths, and the rituals is how the Egyptian sage portrays himself: a vigilant heart, a plain tongue, capable of satisfying God because his entire existence rest on knowledge and not on belief, an adapt of calm and of silence. He distanced himself from the rash, the gossip, and the envious, accomplishing what is right, finding virtue in everything, never evading responsibility, respecting what is worthy. Blessings. Now, the final book, of course, is Dr. Racketti's book. The human element was and is the most crucial factor in any government. People are capable of great good and great evil. In the ancient Kemetic book of Two Ways, it says that the causes of wrongdoing are ignorance and immaturity.
Blessings. I'd like to bring into this circle the contemplation of two definitions, of two words, of two concepts, of which we will share in discussion over these words made philosophy. The first is motivation. The Oxford Dictionary definition of motivation is noun, the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way, the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. The other word made into practice as a philosophy is discipline. Again, from the Oxford Dictionary, noun, the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. A branch of knowledge, typically one studied in higher education. Verb, train, someone to obey rules or a code of behavior using punishment to correct disobedience. The collection of all of the knowledge that we have ascertained here will be now discussed amongst the circle. The question is, which one is better if either one is better? Motivation or discipline? I now give the floor to Brother Eli.
Motivation and discipline. I think that you must be motivated, and discipline maintains the results that you would like to obtain. Motivation is a beautiful thing. It is an honorable thing to be motivated by something, especially something that is for the greater good. I will be mainly focusing on the greater good compared to the bad, because this world have too many disciples and too many people who love the disciples of wrong in this world, at least on the internet. And it's overwhelming. So I would just like to show another glass in the same cup that is opposite of this. So I love the concept of motivation, and I love the concept of discipline. I am so in love with discipline. When you look at all of the existence that we can observe, there are no breaks. There are no moments of time when it's not performing how it's supposed to perform. To me, that is one of the loudest sounds that we can hear visually, is the consistency of existence. So discipline is something to honor from my perspective. Because when you watch people or when you listen to people who may have had a near-death experience, meaning that a person may have died physically, however, they still had their consciousness. These people, for the most part, describe beings of elegance and excellence, very beautiful light beings full of colors that they have never seen with their physical eyes. These beings are extremely regal and disciplined and consistent. Some of them said even when you look at them, their presence alone demand respect and shows discipline without words nor sound. The demons and beasts, or even Satan himself, are known for their discipline. Because when you look at the Western scientific or philosophical understanding of religion or consciousness, it is apparent that we have many gods from many religions. But the strange thing is that we have one Satan. So Satan to me is a god of all gods because Satan seemed to not have any rival, no companions, because it is Satan and his people that's under Satan. No one tries to say, I'm gonna be the second Satan. So for that part, Brother Michael, I think motivation is the spark and discipline is the fuel to motivation. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. I have asked this question to a few individuals throughout the last 2 days. And my results have been as such. Out of the 10 people that I had inquired as to which one is better, the initial response 10 out of 10 times was always motivation. However, upon further review of the words that they uttered and pondered, they changed their minds and said that discipline would have to be better. To which my response was, why does it have to be better? And this is when the results began to be more interesting. 3 of those 10 people said, it has to be because it is the only thing that worked for me, that I can be motivated, which teaches of my potential, but I've never taken it into a kinetic call to action. It feels good. And then the feeling goes away without anything ever been done. I found that to be interesting. But moreover, I found that 4 of the 10 said that they love being motivated whether or not they even do anything. One even called it an addiction. Upon further inquiry, it was stated by that individual that he has a multitude of self-help books, listens to podcasts of motivational means, watches YouTube videos of humans doing miraculous things, B-rolls of miraculous athletic achievements with voiceovers underneath saying that he too can do these amazing things. He is addicted to those, self-proclaimed, because he feels that the conviction that is involved in these publications, just by viewing them, he feels as if he had already achieved what was in question. But then, moments after the videos end, moments after that chapter has closed in the spine of a book, he finds himself doing what he did before, which was to be idle, and slowly would fall into what he described was a relapse, was a depression to which he needed more of his prescription to feed upon. The last 3 individuals said that they have to go hand in hand, for an extreme of either one would be deadly. And once I asked them to further elaborate, one of them said, I am all discipline and no motivation. I hate my job, but I work every day. One said, I am all motivation, but only motivation, not in the same means as an addiction, but as a person who considers himself to be a motivational speaker. And he sees how that motivation drives other people, which allows him to vicariously achieve the success from others. And the final one said that motivation must come first, but if discipline does not come second or third or fourth or fifth or 10th, then motivation will surely die. He called motivation fast food, and he called discipline the organic minerals required to continue to have us grow. I, in my limited experience, have heard many people have taken the time to listen to many people. And I must tell you that the most compelling collective came from this question and how they answered, so much so that I knew I needed nothing ceremonious to bring to this circle, only the results. However, not as a main course, but as a garnish of sorts, I will say that the origins of this circle, this sacred space that we share right now, started as a motivation and has evolved into a discipline that is balanced enough to where I enjoy this discipline in the same way that I enjoyed being motivated. It seems that the combination of the two, the congealing of the two, is rare. However, the approach of motivation and discipline in anyone's life can, with work, indeed to be congealed. I am a person who has seen the results of both extremes in motivation and in discipline. In motivation, before being in this presence with you today, years ago, decades ago, I was big on motivation. However, I was big on motivation only for people whom I spoke with. But ever was I so hard on myself, the chastisement that I would put upon my own body as discipline. For that, I can clearly say it was done not in the same amount of maturity as I come before you in this sacred circle. And I can laugh at the blissful innocence and ignorance that I had, which is a gift when touching upon grace and maturity, to be able to laugh at the old self and see yourself being brought forth anew. I am glad and ever thankful of that evolution, of that shift from being motivation only to being the polarization of motivation to others and discipline only to myself, to coming full circle in the yin yang that is motivation and discipline. For not one is better than the other. It shall be done equally in tandem with each other. And an example that I can give comes from the Bible in the book of James, chapter 4, which I believe should be reread in entirety because it speaks about faith and works. Faith is a motivation to continue onward. It is something that does indeed feel good. It is the reason why there are people who are resting right now after attending church on Sunday. It is a reason why there were people 24 hours ago in synagogues who have one with each other in worship. It is the reason why there are people who come together in spaces such as this with the dedication of motivating each other through the words of greater men and God. But to create the space, not to attend it, but to create the space for motivation to flourish is definitely a discipline. It is a discipline that is not for everyone. It is a discipline that does come with a punishment, just as the definition says, should you disobey. And that punishment, depending upon the responsibility thereof, can be as benign or as malignant as the responsibility for you is called for. For I am reminded in nature and in the speakings that I have with Brother Eli that the sun does not take a day off, nor the moon does any night. And the stars, whether or not they are seen, still shine. And if we are made of stars, if we are truly in that knowledge, not just belief, in scientific knowledge that all that is out there is in here, we, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, have that same responsibility for existence to have a discipline. Now, the relativity of that discipline, good or either, that is up to the volition of the person, of the one in this human experience. And because of that, and because of the relativity of what good and evil are, I absolutely congratulate those who proclaim themselves as evil in their discipline, because they are iron just as me. And that iron does indeed sharpen iron. And if the burning bush were to take that iron and mold it into the weapon that it shall be, the sword, our tongues, that we bridle and listen, that we speak eloquently with the discipline of poise, it is the only way it can be harnessed. It must have a challenge. I am welcome to that challenge. Those who are called are welcome to take on that challenge. And the calling is not as remote as many people would make it out to be. The chosen have to also choose back. And in that choosing back, you are taking on that discipline. Those who share in the discipline with us, no matter what side that's taken, know that it is the nature that shall be. And we welcome it all equally. Let us all share in a Brief moment of silence for the collection of all of the knowledge that has been ascertained. Only after we hear once more, should Brother Eli like to add on to what has been built?
Yes, sir. I wanted to hear James. I thought you was going to read James. Well, when I just opened this book, this is a book full of quotes. It says, "As for you, teach your disciples the words of tradition. May he act as a model for children of the great, that they may find in him the understanding and justice of every heart that speaks to him, since man is not born wise." That is from Ptah Hotep. Also, I just hope to remind you guys that we are not into competition with your wisdom. Existence itself is for all of us. You are our brothers. We have room for us and our kind, and you have room for you and your kind. We are like the salt ocean and the freshwater ocean. If you look in India, I think that is correct. Because human beings, for some reason, brother, you can just express yourself and they will get offended just by you just expressing yourself, or they feel the need to have something that is greater. Please, family, we are creating something of power. We are beings who are trying our best to reflect itself, the great is in all. Whenever something glows closer to the sun is just doing its job. It get burnt up. It's not done on purpose. If you understand and do a little research about the burning bush, mind you, this bush was in a desert with no leaves, and the bush was dry. However, it was engulfed in flames, letting you know that despite what we are going through, good or not so well, we're going to maintain being consecrated. We're going to try our best. And we're on a journey. And yes, at the moment, we have not reached the level of apotheosis. I just gave you a little homework because I know some may not know what apotheosis means. So I'm just getting my posture because no matter what, I'm always trying to improve myself. So please, brothers and sisters, express yourself freely as we would like to express ourselves freely. And if you have any ill will or any negative feelings, we are obliged to allow you to go to your own space and remain there because you have a right to be in your lack of control in your space. And whenever you're ready, then you come into our space with love and kindness. As did Moses in the Bible, when God of the Old Testament told him, "Moses, take off your shoes. The land you are standing on is holy." Now, mind you, when Moses left the environment, He can be his own self if he decides to be a Negro or not. We just want to just have something that we can look forward to. Just as prostitutes, bankers, thieves, muggers, and others, everyone have their dedicated space. The bathroom, the kitchen, the living room. It's all in the house. Therefore, there is nothing wrong with having a space that no matter what you're going through, when you come into space, you have to be perfect. Period. Even if you only could come for 1 minute, come in perfection and then go away to enjoy. That's all we're asking. So it can be 1 minute or 20 hours, long as when you come in the perfect state. Just as when you go to a bar, there is always music and drinking and smoking, and no one complains. And that matter of fact, a lot of people go to church on Sunday. They clean themselves up, have a more respectable presence before they go before the Lord from their understanding. So blessings, brothers and sisters, for your time. And I'm so honored for your time because that's something that no one can pay back. You can pay back almost anything. Well, at least at the moment, we can't rewind time. Maybe in the future. Blessings, family.
Blessings. Before we do go into our close, I will indeed, on the accord collected within this sacred circle, read the book of James. Now, this continues from chapter 2 all the way into chapter 4. But in chapter 4, it speaks of war. But in regards to this subject, I will read from the book of James, chapter 2, verses 14 through 26. What doth it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith, and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto them, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding ye give them not those things which are needful to the body, what doth it profit? Even so faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Yea, a man may say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show you thee faith by my works. Thou believest that there is one God, thou dost well. The devils also believe and tremble. But wilt thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith wrought with his works? And by works was faith made perfect. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness. And he was called the friend of God. Ye see then how by that works a man is justified, not by faith only. Likewise, also was not Rahab the harlot justified by works, when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. May all of what has been spoken and collected in evidence and results today continue to resonate and even cause stir and murmur as a motivation for you to find yourself in the source, to find your way in whatever way that may be. May it be so. We now come to our close, and in our discipline, we will together recite the decree that the candle cannot complain against the darkness and the harshness. It instead emits itself, then admits to itself that it is everything that it needed. It is the light, and we are that light. To show and prove that we are light, we will indeed imbue this light within us. We will not blow out the candle away, but we will take it in so that we may share this light in hugs and handshakes, in words of wisdom, by our understanding, however limited, in belief that the one thing that we know is that we know nothing, that we may continue to learn and live together. And with our hand, we take in the light and we show that we are not harmed. Blessings, many, many blessings be unto you and all that you know and love.